I'm Tim Gordon with your weekly recap. We're going to catch you up on some of the biggest stories of the week. That includes the start of a new era for the Portland Trailblazers as we hear from the team's new owners. Plus, a new KGW investigation into what's taking the city of Portland so long, sometimes nearly a decade, to fix a broken light pole. And the city's controversial plan to fund road services as PBOT deals with a budget gap. And we start with some good news. One of our top stories this week. On Friday, Oregon State Police announced that 28-year-old Maria Kilmer was found safe. She was reported missing after last being seen the previous Saturday. Police say Kilmer went missing along Highway 22 near mile marker 15 when her car ran out of gas on her way to Salem. OSP thanked people who gave them info and tips during that search. Well, it is a new era and a new chapter here in Rip City. On Thursday, the Trailblazers' new ownership group held its first press conference since taking over. In particular, Texas billionaire Tom Dundon leading the group, and he brushed off the idea of moving the team out of Portland. He said he's more aggressive than most, and his current concern is the speed and intensity to get going. Here's part of Dundon's opening remarks.
I really appreciate everything the Allen family did. They've built this building is pretty neat, right? Like when you walk around it, it needs some work, but it's still something we can be proud of and then improve upon. And that's how I feel about everything they've done. Like they've created this legacy that now, with a little love and care, maybe we can keep making better and better.
The team had been run by the Allen estate since 1988. Let's talk more now about the plans to renovate Moda Center. Oregon's approved more than $350 million, and we're waiting for the city and county to chip in. But it sounds like some Blazer fans think using public money is the wrong way to do this. Evan Watson has that story.
All around Jonathan Pulver's house, you'll find basketball hoops.
My son Eli is 6. He has become absolutely obsessed with basketball.
It runs in the family.
I have been a borderline pathological Blazers fan since I was 5 years old.
And across the country in New York, Edon Krolowitz is just as passionate.
I watch every game. I stay up even when the 8 p.m. Pacific time start times. I'm up till 1 in the morning watching the games.
He's moving his family back to Portland in the summer. The two men are part of a group of Blazers fans pushing for a better Moda Center renovation deal, one where taxpayers aren't footing the entire bill with few returns to show for it.
No one sent us. No one's getting paid.
So far, the public gets none of the money and has to put up all the money. So the value would be bad. I think it's as bad as it could possibly be right now.
Just about everyone agrees the Moda Center needs an upgrade. State lawmakers committed $365 million to a renovation project as long as Portland and Multnomah County come through with funding deals of their own. Public records show city officials have been working with Blazers leaders behind the scenes, helping advance the team's request for a 100% publicly funded remodel.
We're going to make all these renovations, but all the money flows to the private organization, and that does not make sense.
Basically, the state and the city have been negotiating is a strong word. They've been partnering or maybe colluding with the Blazers to do the Blazers' bidding.
The city of Portland says the mayor's office and executive leadership are leading the negotiations, declining KGW's request to interview a negotiator. Krolowitz, for his part, has data to back up his argument. He made a website he calls Rip City, Not Rip Off, pointing to widespread research that shows stadium subsidies benefit wealthy sports team owners at the expense of taxpayers. He analyzed other recent NBA arena deals and listed what Portland should demand in negotiations: significant private investment from the new ownership group, a share of the Moda Center naming rights, payments in lieu of property taxes, and some level of rent or revenue sharing.
It's pretty simple, right? It's like, do we want to spend $1 billion on an arena where we get none of the money back? Or do we want to spend that money on other things that Oregon needs, like better transit issues that are happening in Portland parks? We need to fix our education system.
Throughout talks, the Blazers have made light threats about relocation, saying public investment is necessary or the new owners could move the team. Many state leaders bought that argument, saying they need to do whatever it takes to keep the Blazers in Portland.
We've got a very good shot to both keep the Trailblazers here.
How would you assess that possibility or that fear of relocation?
It is a bluff. They don't have anywhere to go.
In March, the NBA announced it's looking to add expansion teams in Seattle and Las Vegas, the two markets that pose the biggest threat. Plus, Pulver says relocation doesn't make any financial sense.
The penalties and opportunity costs that they would pay if they left here would be between $1.8 and $6 billion, which is substantially more than it would take them to negotiate with us.
The ball is now in Portland City Council's court, with votes on Moda Center renovation funding and a new long-term lease agreement expected later this year.
You want to show your son you can love the Blazers and love basketball, but also want a good deal for the city.
Absolutely. I don't think those things are in tension at all.
Evan Watson, KGW News.
The negotiator who worked on behalf of the city of Raleigh against Dundon's Carolina Hurricanes in their arena upgrade talks is now working for Dundon and the Blazers in Moda negotiations. Meanwhile, the NBA has fined the Blazers $100,000 and suspended 2 assistant managers for a couple of weeks. That's because the team contacted rookie player Young Hansen in 2023 before he was eligible to be drafted. ESPN reports the Blazers self-reported that violation. In other news this week, a man turned himself in after allegedly shooting and killing a Northeast Portland convenience store clerk. According to the district attorney, the victim was murdered for less than $30. Court documents show 21-year-old Michael Payne called 911 Monday night, admitting that he shot and killed 57-year-old Ernesto Castellanos the previous Friday. Shortly after being arrested, he told officers that he was drunk and high on marijuana at the time of the shooting. The documents say that he robbed Castellanos for the only $25 that he had in the till. Payne also said when Castellanos didn't appear to believe Payne was going to rob him, that's when he shot him twice.
Ernesto did nothing to precipitate this at all. This is a very callous act. There'll be a lot more information that will come out if and when there's a bail hearing.
Payne pleaded not guilty Tuesday and will make his next court appearance in the coming week. Also on Tuesday, a Gresham man learned he'll spend 30 years in prison for stabbing and killing a stranger on the street. Prosecutors said Anthony Kassab was a complete stranger to 35-year-old Cody Funk, who was homeless when Kassab stabbed him multiple times back in 2023. Detectives were able to identify Kassab through analyzing video footage of the incident, plus other clips to track his movement before and after the attack.
It's horrifying to see how this unfolded on the video. It's heartbreaking from the perspective of the family. That's what's most striking to me, watching him very clearly in video, including some from the home he was living at, make his way up to this person that was a complete stranger and attack him that way.
6 weeks after this stabbing, Kassab attacked another homeless man who did survive. He was already in custody for that crime when investigators linked him to Funk's killing. Well, a man was arrested last Sunday after police say he posed as an ICE agent and then tried to rob a convenience store cashier. The employee says 2 men walked into the 7-Eleven on Southeast 92nd Division Sunday morning. He told police one of the men walked up to the counter, pretended to work for ICE, then tried to rob him, showing him a gun and a fake badge.
He said, "I'm an immigration officer. I give you 2 options. You give me $20 or $50, or do you want to lose your family?" I said, "I don't have no money." And then he told me, "I will be back and I'm going to shoot you."
After he left, the employee called police smartly. Officers found 19-year-old Mason Clark about a mile and a half away near Southeast 84th and Stevens. They arrested Clark and later found a transit card with a faded police badge sticker and an airsoft gun Clark told them that he had dumped. Clark is facing charges of attempted theft by extortion and bias crime. To a brand new KGW investigation now, one that exposes why some Portland residents have been waiting nearly a decade to get their broken streetlights fixed. After one viewer complained, we discovered there are dozens of streetlights throughout the city waiting to be fixed. Investigative reporter Kyla Boshi has more.
February 14th, 2022. A car careened out of control down a residential street in southwest Portland, then crashed.
So she was doing a pretty good speed.
The driver was okay, but the streetlight outside of Derek Costarella's home wasn't. The entire pole crashed down onto his driveway. Derek figured it would be a quick fix to replace the pole, that lights the way for neighbors and kids headed to school.
They said it would be a year.
But the city of Portland kept him waiting.
2 years became 3.
And waiting.
And then 3 years turned into 4.
And waiting. He emailed the city's Bureau of Transportation every year. And every year, PBOT had another excuse. In 2022, the city said it was having problems procuring materials for pole replacement. Then, a year later, the issue was crew workloads. In 2024, the city explained that high-traffic areas are given priority. A year after that, the city said underground utilities make excavation difficult. Earlier this year, the city claimed the crews are doing their best, but there's a backlog of knockdown lights.
A little less of this and a little more of this in terms of digging, I think would go a long way.
Then, on March 6th, the very same day KGW had scheduled an interview with Derek outside his home, a PBOT crew happened to show up. And in less than 2 hours, they installed a new light pole.
Literally, as you were walking up the street, the pole was going in the ground. So that was crazy.
Coincidence? Maybe. But either way, Derek still wonders why it took 4 years for a new street light.
These guys are the heroes. They do the work, but it's like, what are the layers of administration between these guys and the mayor? And that just continue to kind of punt issues out and just aren't accountable.
4 years is not the response time we would like to see.
Spokesperson Dylan Rivera says PBOT's goal is to replace all poles within 1 year. But the city data shows it's routinely missed that mark. Public records indicate there's a backlog of at least 70 light poles waiting to be replaced. Some were reported 8 or 9 years ago and still haven't been fixed.
Is that fair?
Oh, it's the situation we're in. I mean, it's terrible. It's terrible for us. We really share the public's concern about this. It should not take years to replace a street light.
Rivera says the city prioritizes high traffic and high crash areas for streetlight replacement, which means residential streets like Derek's must wait. Overhead wires or a bad foundation can complicate projects.
And replacing poles isn't as simple as swapping out one for another. Portland has many different streetlight styles. Look around. There's wood, steel, ornamental. Many must be special ordered. But the biggest obstacle may be resources. City crews repaired over 100 light poles last year. It wasn't enough. What I hear you saying is this ultimately boils down to money.
Yes. We have the technology, we have the labor, we have the expertise. We just don't have enough people, vehicles, equipment available to be able to have a shorter response time.
And the city warns it could get worse. Proposed budget cuts at PBOT could wipe out some funding for streetlight repair, leaving many residents like Derek in the dark.
It's nice to get it finally done.
Kyle Aboshi, KGW News.
In most cases, light poles are damaged due to vandalism or car crashes, and replacing them is not cheap. A wooden pole runs about $8,000. Metal poles can cost $10,000 to $15,000. Meanwhile, Portland City Council is considering a controversial idea to help pay for road maintenance. It would impose a monthly flat fee of $12 per homeowners and around $8 for renters, and a percentage of the utility bill on businesses. It's all to help PBOT generate more money to maintain city streets. Since 2019, PBOT has dealt with a $42 million reduction to ongoing services like paving maintenance and street sweeping. While many were supportive Thursday, there was also some pushback from residents who felt it was unfair.
Our biggest issue with the TUF is that it is a regressive fee. This flat fee would apply to multifamily and single-family households, regardless of whether they own a car, primarily use public transit, walk, or bike.
It will disproportionately burden the poorest Portlanders.
But I think there's tremendous recognition that we have to do something, that our streets are at risk, that if we wait, we really risk failure of this asset that we all own and that we all use.
75% of the funds would go toward maintaining the roads, with some excess funds going toward Vision Zero. Next, this will head back to the committee, which will meet on April 15th. The grocery outlet store on Northeast Sandy Boulevard is set to close this summer. That's according to reports from the Oregonian and the Portland Business Journal. This comes along with a handful of other supermarket closures in our area, including plans to close the Fred Meyer at Gateway Shopping Center on Northeast Halsey in July. Last year, the Albertsons on Southwest Beaverton-Hillsdale Highway said it's also planning to close. Because of the war in Iran, filling up your tank is hitting harder than ever, with gas prices climbing to record levels this week. But at one small Portland gas station, kindness is helping soften the blow and keeping customers coming back. Blair Best reports.
It's not just the building that makes this Northwest Portland gas station unique.
We're for sure the only indoor gas station in the state of Oregon.
It's the friendly face behind the pump. Jaime Astorga is an attendant.
Thank you. Have a great day. Yeah.
At Radio Cab's 24/7 indoor gas station.
26 years.
Every morning for 26 years, Jaime checks the prices.
Oh, damn. I can't believe it went up no more.
On Wednesday,
How we doing?
I get 20 regular.
20 regular, sure.
a gallon of regular reached almost $5, the most he's ever charged.
And sometimes I feel bad about that.
$50 didn't even fill up my tank. We're halfway. That's $100 for a Subaru.
$4.99, still the best kept secret in town.
Oh, there you go.
As the war in Iran sends oil prices soaring.
Well, it's unlivable. And this is the only place you come because it's the only place that's kind of affordable.
I looked up gas prices on the route and it said here was probably the cheapest.
Yeah, they've gone up very quickly and have stayed up, and that's really difficult.
Noah Ernst is a Radio Cab superintendent.
Our buy price at one point was going up by about 20 or 30 cents a day.
The some 200 Radio Cab drivers also feeling pressure at the pump.
A cab driver who might go home a little early is now going to work, take an extra order or two to make up for the increased cost of gas.
The national average, according to AAA, is just over $4 a gallon. In parts of Oregon, including Multnomah County, it's topping $5, the highest average in 4 years.
It's when you get these daily large increases that we just have no choice.
You know, it's just making everything worse for everybody.
But Jaime tries to make everything a little bit better.
Are you okay?
By offering something you can't put a price on, a moment of kindness that goes farther than a gallon of gas.
It does. It does. And everyone's always so nice. Like, he's so nice. And we're always chatting it up. And it's just a nice little community.
That always carries us through difficult times.
You have a good one, huh?
You too.
Thank you. And thank you for coming in.
Blair Best, KGW News.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Chris McGinnis in for Rod Hill. From this Friday morning perspective, looking forward to the weekend. It looks great for the first weekend of April, Easter weekend, of course. Saturday should be a warmer day, and in fact, the beginning of 3 straight days in the 70s, something that we have not done since early October. So Saturday, sunny and warmer. I've got us eventually getting up to about 73. And then Easter Sunday, record warmth possible. Maybe some high thin clouds. I'll show you that with Futurecast in just a second. But for now, we start off with temperatures in the upper 40s and climb into the upper 70s on Easter Sunday. And for a little perspective, here are some of the records that may be on the table for Sunday. McMinnville hit 79 back in 1977. That's on the high end, but it's not like completely out of reach. Vancouver 78 again on the high end, but not out of reach. Portland, Salem, Eugene, I think these are all obtainable on Easter Sunday. Eugene's record 75 set back in 1966. Portland and Salem hit 77 in 1977, and that is our Sunday forecast. So here's a look at Futurecast. Again, Saturday looks gorgeous. Sunday, the only maybe hedge in the forecast is this. Modeling has been suggesting that some high thin cloud cover will pass overhead. Now, how thick that cloud cover is, does it just kind of put a little thin veil around the sun, or does it actually make some meaningful impact on the amount of sunlight we get? That's probably about the only thing that would impact that temperature downward if the clouds are a little thicker. Right now, it just looks like a really high thin overcast. I also put the wind arrows on here because it does look like the east wind is going to start to whip through the Columbia River Gorge a little bit Sunday, starting late Saturday night and into Sunday. So we'll feel that, which may sometimes even accentuate the warm-up, right? So when you bring east wind down off the Cascades, it creates a little added heating when you bring air from up high and bring it down low. So that may be just the thing that helps boost the temperatures another degree or two. And here is Futurecast late Saturday evening and into the day on Sunday. We'll feel those east winds, a warm, dry east wind going through the gorge. So Troutdale, Corbett will feel gusts 30, 40 miles an hour or greater. And even on the east end of town, so this is depicting like PDX possibly registering 20 to 25 mile an hour wind gusts on Sunday afternoon. So the theme for our weekend and into Washington spring break week is mostly sunny and dry. So 73 Saturday. Again, the record for Sunday in Portland is 77, and there's a good chance we get there. And Monday still looks quite warm as well. So once again, 3 days in the 70s, something we have not done, 3 consecutive days in the 70s. We have not done that since early October. So some really warm stuff coming our way. And then as we were mentioning, the chance for rain that we had here for early next week, models have really backed off on that. In fact, most of our modeling is indicating maybe partly sunny and dry conditions continuing through much of next week, with the next meaningful chance of rain maybe not getting in here until next weekend.
And that is a wrap of our weekly recap. I'm Tim Gordon. You can catch up on the latest headlines anytime on KGW.com, your KGW app, or our YouTube channel. Take care.